Hello, my name is not really the Colosseum. That is the name you gave me. I was born almost 2,000 years ago. I have seen many people, many kings, and many wars. But now, I am quiet. People walk around me. They take pictures. They smile, but they do not hear me. So today I will speak. I want to tell you who I am. I want to tell you what I remember. I remember the noise of the crowd. I remember the games, the animals, the fighters. I remember the blood. But I also remember the beauty, the strong stones, the open sky, the way people looked at me with wonder. I'm still here. I am broken, yes, but I remember everything. Part 2, my birth. I was born from war. After a big war in a far land, Jerusalem, Rome took gold, stone, and people. Some of that gold helped build me. Some of those people became my workers. Before me, there was a big lake. It was part of Emperor Nero's home, full of luxury. But the people did not love Nero. They wanted something else. So a new emperor came. His name was Vespasian. He said, "Let's give this land back to the people." And he ordered my creation. Vespasian started me, but he died before I was finished. His son, Titus, watched me grow. I was big, very big. 4 floors, 80 entrances, room for over 50,000 people. My walls were made of strong stone, travertine. My inside was full of tunnels and stairs. I had no roof. I was open to the sun, the stars, and the gods. Under the ground, I had many secrets. Trapdoors, tunnels, lifts. They brought up animals and fighters. I was more than a building. I was a gift from the emperor to the people. He gave them food and shows, bread and games, so they would be happy and quiet. This was my beginning, born not only from stone, but from power, from fear, from hope. Part 3, the first games. I remember the first day very well. The sun was hot. The stands were full of people, thousands of them. They were excited. They were loud. This was my first show, my first time breathing with the city. The Emperor Titus gave the people many games. For 100 days, the shows did not stop. They brought animals from all over the world. Lions, elephants, crocodiles, bears. The animals ran into the arena, and they never came back. One day, more than 5,000 animals died inside me. Then came the fighters, the gladiators. Some were strong, some were afraid, some wanted freedom, some had no choice. They stepped onto the sand, looked up at the crowd, and waited for the gates to open. They fought with swords, nets, shields, sometimes one against one, sometimes many against many. Some fights were fast, some were long, some ended in cheers, some ended in silence. The crowd chose who lived and who died. I watched it all. I heard the cries. I felt the footsteps, the blood in my sand, the shaking of fear. And yet, I stayed strong. I was not just a place. I was the stage and the memory. That day, I was no longer just stone. I was Rome's voice. Part 4, the Gladiators. They were not just fighters. They were people. They had names, memories, dreams, and fear. Some were slaves. Some were prisoners. A few chose this life for money or for fame. They trained in special schools called Ludi. They learned how to fight, how to fall, how to die. Before the games, they waited in the dark. Below me, in narrow tunnels, with heavy breath and shaking hands. I remember one. He was young. He looked up at the light coming from the arena above. He whispered something. I could not hear the words, but I felt the hope in his voice. When the gate opened, he stepped into the sun. The crowd cheered, but he did not smile. He fought bravely. I remember his blood on the sand. I remember the sound of his last breath. He was not famous. He had no statue, but I remember him. I remember them all. The strong, the weak, the winners, the broken. Some left the arena with cheers. Some left in silence. Some never left at all. People called them heroes or animals, but I knew the truth. They were just people trying to survive. Part 5, the emperors. Some emperors loved me. Some used me. Some only wanted the cheers I could give them. Vespasian gave me life. He was strong, quiet, and careful. He wanted to give Rome something powerful. and I became that gift. His son, Titus, gave me my first breath. He gave the people shows, games, food, and music. He wanted the people to love him, and for a while, they did. Then came Domitian. He changed my insides. He built tunnels under the arena. He made the shows bigger, louder, more dangerous. He wanted more control, not just of me, but of the people. Later emperors used me too. They gave games to make people forget problems. They smiled while men fought. They waved while animals died, and the people clapped. But I saw the truth. Behind every smile was fear. Behind every cheer was power. The games were not just for fun. They were a tool. Bread and games. Pain et circenses. Give the people food and a good show, and they will stay quiet. I became more than a theater. I became a message. The empire is strong. The emperor is your master. Watch the games. Forget everything else. But I remembered. I always remembered. Part 6. Water in the arena. Yes, I once held water. Not just a little. The whole arena was filled like a lake. People came to see something new. Not animals. Not fighters. But ships. The workers built strong walls to keep the water in. They opened underground channels. And the arena slowly became a sea. Small boats came out, real wooden ships. Men dressed as sailors and soldiers. They acted out great sea battles from Roman history. Some had swords. Some had fire. Some jumped from ship to ship. The crowd loved it. They clapped, they shouted, they laughed. It was not real war, but it looked real. And sometimes men still died. I watched as water splashed across my walls. I felt the wood break against stone. I heard the crowd cry out as ships sank in my heart. It only happened a few times, because later they changed me. They built tunnels under the arena. After that, I could not hold water again, but I still remember the waves, the sails, the sounds of the sea in the middle of the city. Yes, I once held water, and for a short time, I became the ocean. Part 7. The Christians and the Silence. The crowds began to change. The cheers became smaller. The games were not the same. Rome was not the same. A new faith was growing. A faith with no gods in stone, no blood in the sand. They called themselves Christians. At first, Rome hated them. Some were sent into my arena, not to fight, but to die. They were quiet. They did not scream. They prayed. I remember one. She stood in the middle of the arena. She looked up at the sky and whispered something soft. The lions came. The crowd watched, but she did not run. She believed in something stronger than fear. I did not understand then, but I remember the silence she left behind. Years passed. More and more people followed this new faith. One day, it became the faith of the empire, and the games stopped. No more gladiators. No more wild animals. No more blood. At first, I was confused. I was made for sound, for shouting, for drums, for battle. But now I was quiet, and in that quiet, I began to hear something new. Not screams, not music, but footsteps, soft voices, prayers. They said I was holy now, a place of memory, a place of pain, and maybe they were right. Part 8. The Years of Ruin. I waited. People stopped coming. I watched the sun rise and fall over empty seats. I listened to the wind move through my arches. Then, I began to break. A great earthquake shook the city. My stones cracked. My walls opened. Parts of me fell to the ground. No one came to fix me. Then men came with carts and tools. They took pieces of me, big blocks of stone, strong marble. They used my bones to build other places. Churches, palaces, houses. I was once the pride of Rome. Now I was a quarry. Bit by bit, they pulled me apart. I could feel it, like losing pieces of myself. But I did not fall. I stayed standing, even when the storms came, even when the ground shook again, even when fire touched my skin. I was hurt. I was forgotten, but I was still here. People wrote their names on my walls. They climbed my ruins. They said I was old, broken, lost. But I remembered. I remember the cheers, the silence, the blood, the prayers, the games, and the girl who looked at the sky and did not run. Part 9. The Visitors. One day, they started coming back. Not for games, not for blood, just to look. They were different now. They carried books. They wore strange clothes. They spoke many languages. So were artists. They sat and painted my broken walls. They tried to catch my shape with color and brush. Some were writers. They walked through my arches slowly. They said I was beautiful, even in ruin. Some were dreamers. They stood in the center of the arena, closed their eyes, and tried to hear the past. I liked them. They did not cheer or scream. They were quiet, but they looked with care, as if they wanted to understand me. Children came too. They ran up the steps. They laughed between my stones. They touched the old walls and asked questions. And some of them listened. They did not know every name, or every emperor, or every game that happened here. But they knew I was important. They felt something in the silence. That feeling was memory. And slowly, piece by piece, I began to feel alive again. Part 10. Those who truly heard me. Most people came, looked, and left. But a few stayed longer. A few listened. One was an old man. He walked with a notebook and a small brush. He touched the stones with care, like touching skin. He whispered names, names I remembered. Gladiators, emperors, builders. He spoke to me, not about me. He said, "You are not just a ruin. You are a story." I wanted to cry, but I have no eyes. Only stone. Another was a little girl. She ran through my arches barefoot and laughing. Then she stopped in the center of the arena. She looked up. She smiled. And she said, "Hello." That was all. Just one word. But I heard it. And I answered. Not with sound, but with memory. I remember one more. He came alone. He sat on a broken step for hours. He didn't take pictures. He didn't say anything. He just closed his eyes. Maybe he was sad. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he just needed silence. I gave him that. I gave him silence. And the soft voice of history. These people didn't just see stone. They saw me. And for a moment, I was not a ruin. I was alive. Part 11. Today and tomorrow. I am old. I am broken. I am quiet. But I am here. Every day, people come to see me. They walk on my stones. They take pictures. They dream. I feel their steps. I hear their whispers. I see their faces. Sometimes I feel hope. Hope that I will live longer. Hope that my story will not be forgotten. I'm not just old stone. I am memory. I am history. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have heard thousands of voices. I've held millions of stories. And I still have more to tell. The world changes. But I remain. I'm a Colosseum. I am the voice of Rome. I remember. And I will keep telling. Part 12. The closing words. I remember. I remember every stone. I remember every cheer. I remember every tear. I remember the sun. I remember the rain. I remember the blood and the prayers. I'm not just a building. I'm a story of people, a story of power, a story of hope and fear. I am old, but I am alive, alive in memory, alive in stories, alive in you. So, if you listen carefully, you can hear me. I am a Colosseum, and I remember. Thank you for listening.